sometimes it's better to just cut ties, fire them, and find someone else sooner than later.
Hey, Kevin A. Malsh, Pine Financial Group, where we work together so you succeed. Hey, you found us here on YouTube. Please hit subscribe, hit that notification button. Scott, we're trying to build a community to help more real estate investors just like them. We have a fantastic guest here today, Scott Kraft. What's up?
How we doing?
Hey, we want to talk about how you manage your construction project, how you manage your rehab. How do you stay safe doing this? It's managing a contractor is a pretty vital piece to this business. And there's great contractors out there, right? But sometimes not. And we need to at least protect ourselves from that. So give us some ideas. How do we do that?
Right. So, we all understand that the entire business model surrounding real estate investment involves improving the property. And unless you know how to swing a hammer really well, you're probably going to need a contractor. And like Kevin said, there are some great contractors out there, but we've all heard those horror stories of, really bad experiences with contractors. And so there really are 5 super simple ways to help make sure you have a smooth transaction with your contractor.
All right, what's number 1?
So the first one that I would always recommend is when you have a contractor and you walk through a project and you decide what it is they're going to do and you come up with a price, and you have an agreement, just make sure you get it in writing.
Yes. So, it seems so fundamental to me, but a lot of investors don't do that, right? Because the contractors resist it.
That's right. And if a contractor is resisting putting something in writing, that's a red flag in my eyes.
Right.
What is it are they going to come back and renege on their deal? Are they just not satisfied with it and they're going to have change orders? What is it?
So what's something what's some important pieces to have in this agreement?
Sure. So there's a number of important things. There's 3 primary things that you want to be sure to have in your contract with your contractor. The first one is obviously how much is it going to cost, right? So have a set number, whatever that number is you agree upon, and then also, a schedule of how that's going to be paid.
Right.
Okay? The second one is you want to make sure that you have what it is the contractor is going to actually do for that amount of money. So put your scope of work in there, make sure that they see, okay, this is for paint, this is for carpet, this is for whatever it may be, but have that in your contract. The third part of that you want to see in your contract with them is also how long is it going to take, right? You want to have a time frame that they're going to have to stick to in order to get paid, because if they just take way longer than anticipated or than what's agreed upon, that's eating into your holding costs. So you definitely want to have deadlines to have the work completed and, potentially even put in penalties if they don't reach those deadlines.
I think it's vital. You guys, it's vital to put in penalties. Now, you may or may not choose to enforce that. You could work with the contractor, but if it's not in there, you don't have that option.
Right. It's just an added level of leverage.
Yeah, it's really easy to negotiate real quick. Hey, Mr. Contractor, Mrs. Contractor, how long is this going to take you? They're going to give you a date that's probably not realistic. What if I just add a week or 2 weeks? Is that okay? Because I want to make sure you're in time. So I'm just going to add a couple of weeks to your date. No resistance. I've never had resistance using that strategy.
Correct.
All right, what's number 2?
So number 2 is do not pay upfront. I cannot tell you how many contractors I've dealt with in the past who have said, oh yeah, here's what we agree upon. I'll do it for X number of dollars, but I need half upfront. Well, why would you pay half upfront if no work has been completed?
I've had contractors take my money and go.
I have too. It's happened. Back when I was young in this business, I found contractors that I thought I was going to work with. They wanted half upfront. I was very green, so I thought that was, standard operating procedure. It's just not.
Well, I need to buy materials, Scott.
Right. So that is the one exception that I would give the contractor the benefit of the doubt on this one. Occasionally.
Yes. I want the flyer miles personally. So how about I go buy the materials and I'll make sure you get
exactly
delivered
so
to you.
So I'll put it on my credit card, right? If I ask a contractor who tells me that they require, let's say, 50% upfront, first my first question is why? Often they'll say, well, I need to buy materials. Typically that's not quite 50%
right.
of the entire job amount.
Right.
But what I say to them is, okay, I tell you what, you go to Home Depot, call me when you're there. I will pay for it. I'll meet you over at the project. We'll get the material there. Yeah. So that's the one exception where I would consider paying up front. But if they're talking 50% up front and they won't touch your job until they get that, I would run, find a new contractor.
100% agree. Fantastic advice so far. What's number 3?
So number 3 is, and this is really just common sense. When you're looking for a contractor, ask for referrals, ask for recommendations from other investors that you know. You know, that's why it's so great to come out to networking events and meet other people who are actually in the business, because if they're doing successful fix and flips, you can say, hey, who are you using for your plumbing? Who are you using as an electrician? And if they've had a good experience with that person, give them a call.
Yeah, come out to one of the Pine panels. We're going to be doing this every quarter, and it's a great way to network.
Absolutely.
All right, so number 4.
So number 4 is to closely monitor the progress of the job. You want to be out there every day, watching to make sure that the contractor is showing up, that they're doing the work, and that they're doing a quality job too. So if you're just sitting back and letting them do the job at their pace without really, and I don't want to say you have to micromanage them, but you have to be present there and let them know that you're taking it seriously.
Yeah, and if they're making a mistake, you got to catch it early.
Right.
Otherwise, I've had this just recently, actually. You got to undo everything, and that gets very expensive.
Absolutely. And if they're not doing their job as you expect and as they promise, you know, sometimes it's better to just cut ties, fire them, and find someone else sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 4 great pieces of advice, 4 great tips. What's number 5?
So number 5 is get lien waivers. Once they're done with the job and you're paying them as agreed, just have them sign a lien waiver saying, yes, yeah, I'm paid in full for all the work that I've done on this project, and that prevents them from potentially putting a mechanics lien on the property later.
There have been contractors in Denver, where we're basically located, we're just outside of Denver, that have used that as a strategy. They'll place frivolous liens on properties just to come up with a settlement to make a little bit more money off of you. So
Right.
This is huge.
Even after they've been paid. Even if you thought everything went great on the job and you paid them as agreed, all of a sudden a mechanics lien shows up.
Yeah, because cheaper for us as investors to settle with them than to try to fight that.
Absolutely.
And they know that.
Right.
So lien waivers. Okay, any last pieces of advice before we wrap this up?
You know, I think that pretty much covers it, but the bottom line is you really just have to be super involved and make sure you're being very thorough and doing your diligence on your contractors.
Fantastic. You could find Scott, you could find us, pinefinancialgroup.com.